guess we all know that AI applications are exploding, but perhaps less well publicized, shall we say, is they do come at a bit of a cost in terms of the carbon footprint that comes with them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just like any other workload, there may be the difference, and the kind of the trend that we're seeing is that AI workloads are now being deployed at a much grander scale than they have been in the past years. Hence, the attention that goes towards environmental aspects in relations to AI workloads should be taken into account when AI workloads are being deployed. Hence, I think the energy-hungry infrastructure that is being deployed at the moment to power these workloads is of an unprecedented scale. The size of the projects are bigger. The demand for ramp up is greater. So we are seeing a technology trend, an exponential growth in technology deployment that, in my view, in my humble opinion, that it needs to be taken into account. What is the effect of the workloads being deployed?
And I guess that's sort of alongside that, the use of AI will also, or is already shaping potentially where data sets are held, where they are located for supporting these AI applications. So that's another sort of consideration to bear in mind.
Yeah, I think well, in our experience in dealing with AI workloads, then the data sets, and this is a kind of the legacy mindset of people that are dealing with data center infrastructure, is to keep it close, keep it on premise or close by, in proximity. This is a trend that we have seen, some of the largest data center operators, those that consume the most data center footprint worldwide, that have lowered this part in their prioritization quite a lot. Because what you ultimately get when you can push workloads away from you get more flexibility. It means that you can actually select and be more in control where your data is residing. That given being from a latency standpoint, from a legal perspective, from a regulatory standpoint, the more flexibility you have, the more freedom you have to utilize best practices. And when I say best practices, then I'm combining the best TCO in the world, and that meets the most sustainable practices that we should all be concerned about. How are we deploying our workloads? Are they energy efficient? Are they powered responsibly? And am I ensuring, even though I have a groundbreaking technology, am I ensuring that we are cautious of the long-term effect of how we consume energy and how we power innovations?
So I guess that means that in terms of AI applications, sourcing or locating the right sustainable data center infrastructure location can contribute towards sustainability and even the sort of wider the circular economy, if you like. So that's quite an important thing to consider.
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent point, because there is a big push for data centers, and especially related to the kind of energy crisis that we have been experiencing here in Europe over the past 12 to 24 months. Then better utilization of the energy that is consumed by data centers, by powering our applications, by powering this interview, we are now demanding that we get more out of that power, and that means, you know, data centers, and we, for example, here at AtNorth are doing this at scale in Stockholm, where we're taking the heat from the data centers that's already gone to power compute and mitigating that back to the municipality. This is an example of how you can participate in a circular economy, and I think it is a broad responsibility that, you know, both governments need to support data centers that are embarking on a journey to participate in a more circular economy, making sure that utilities are ready to receive heat, that the energy is better utilized down the value chain, and that we are not powering heat generation on top of data center. This can be an ecosystem that means that we ultimately become more energy efficient.
And I guess if it's done rightly, there's a sort of win-win scenario where you're reducing carbon footprint, but you're also getting some kind of cost efficiency. So it's not like someone's going to say, well, I'm going to do this, but it's going to cost me a lot. You know, often environmental things think this, oh, it's going to cost me a load of money, so I won't do it. But here you can save money, or at least optimize your spend, and also help reduce carbon footprint. Is that right?
Yeah, I think you're right there. I mean, to level up on participating in a circular economy takes capital investments. It means that you need to input more capex into a data center facility. However, you know, where we have an opportunity to participate in the circular economy as a data center operator, that is the location where this has been taken into the equation, and where municipalities, governments, utilities have actually built methods or collaboration to enable players like us to actually go in, invest more in the infrastructure that we are providing to our customers, to be able to actually mitigate parts of that energy back to the municipality for a way greater good. And this is a new way of calculating TCO in a data center environment, because you need to take more factors into the equation than just PUE. Then all of a sudden you need to take in what do we get for the additional power that we're mitigating, or the additional energy that we are mitigating out of the data center. So it's not only about, you know, power in PUE anymore, but PUE and then what we're getting back, and how do we get that support to our customers, because our customers are ultimately powering this energy that is then being mitigated out of the data center again. And this is the approach that we have taken. We are investing more in our data center facilities, but our customers ultimately enjoy the benefit of participating in a circular economy, because the upside that we get out of participating and mitigating energy out is delivered to our customers.
And I'm just wondering, I mean, we're talking about AI, but there are other sort of, if you like, digital consumption going on, and it's exploding. So if we carry on at this path, no matter what we do, are we heading towards sort of unsustainable digital consumption? Or put it another way, is it possible for the data center industry to be truly sustainable, bearing in mind the demands being placed on it, you know, by the world of digital consumers?
Yeah, I think, you know, I've been so many years. I started so many years ago focusing on green IT, even before it became way before it became mainstream, and probably me, along with some others, were considered a little bit weird for focusing on sustainable IT at the time, because ultimately the mindset of people was that, you know, why does it matter? It's just a computer. I'm finding something on my computer. Now there's way better understanding of this. I think we've seen exponential growth in data sets, whether that's the explosion of hyperscale cloud providers, explosion of applications taking over multiple industries, if you will, and AI is the next step in that. Is it going to be bigger than the previous disruptions to way we live? Social media is one of the disruptions that happened in the not so distant past. I'm leaning towards this being the biggest disruption, meaning that the more digital infrastructure will be deployed to power this innovation than the past disruptions. However, I don't have any crystal ball, so I'll put a disclaimer on that. But we find ways, and that there is definitely ways to step up when it comes to the data center infrastructure, and in addition to that, to the compute infrastructure that is being deployed in the data centers. There are efficiency pushes on all aspects of the IT stack when it comes to all the existing infrastructure deployments. Now in AI, we have come so short into that industry that the efficiency push is it is happening on the server part. I think the data center industry is somewhat trying to figure out what to do with this beast that is coming into the industry. But ultimately, I think there's mass opportunity for the data center industry to increase sustainable practices. And I don't think that it matters where your data center is located. It can increase sustainable methods than by being more power efficient, by exercising sustainable practices in its operations. But ultimately, some data centers will always be more sustainable than others, or with less effort. Then I'm referring to the Nordics, for an example, or regions like that, where the climate helps you, the energy production helps you, and it helps you be more responsible and achieve a better TCO while you're at it. So I think it matters. What I would be concerned about when an industry is moving so fast is that the competitive landscape and how fast people need to get things going means that they dismiss something like sustainability and ESG matters, because speed is of the essence, and then sustainability suffers. And that is something that I would be concerned about, just from my perspective as an advocate for sustainable practices in digital infrastructure.
And I'm also wondering, I mean, the industry has clearly made progress down the sustainability route, but it seems if one was to characterize it, it's more of a slowish evolution. And I'm wondering, are we approaching the time, if we are going to do what's required in the time frame required? And I know there's a certain debate about that, but 2050, if you like, is not that far away. But I think various data center groups have said 2030 is more their objective, which isn't far away at all. But do we now need to get radical? To your point, I know the Nordics is enjoying something of a boom, but will we end up with vast amounts of data centers, if you like, nearer the Arctic or the Antarctic, just for the climatic reasons you said? And for most people, latency is maybe not an issue. So that obviously liquid cooling, not necessarily a new technology, but the way it's being used is perhaps more revolutionary. So do we need those kind of radical solutions to get there, or can we continue to sort of tweak little bits here and there and slowly get there? Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I think on the first part, in terms of where to place this, I think, when you can shave your PUE down from 1.5 to 1.2, just the difference there is quite significant. 60% shaving off the overhead in the data center depends a lot on the scale, and this is what we see time and time again. When a cost element like that at a certain scale, when your project is being deployed at 2 megawatts or 10 megawatts or even 20 or 50 megawatts, then shaving your PUE down from 1.5 to 1.2 all of a sudden means that you are making mass savings. If your project is just 50 kilowatts, it might not matter in the whole aspect if you shave it down from 1.5 to 1.2. And the larger the project is, the bigger the saving is when you start looking at numbers, like PUE. Even shaving it down from 1.3 to 1.2 all of a sudden starts to make sense when you're at 50 megawatts of IT workload. But in terms of the incremental change, and I think when I was starting out in sustainable IT, I thought that the sustainable IT and the focus on sustainable practices when it comes to the data center infrastructure would take about a year. So that I expected that to happen in 2011, something like that. And it did not quite pan out in 2011. But the push for more sustainable IT, and the more people that started to focus on more sustainable IT, it created a movement that has kind of infected most of the IT industry with at least environmentally mindful people. And I think when you look back now to 13 years back, then we have gone quite far. So all the changes are quite significant when you look 10 years or 13 years behind. And the big breakthrough has not happened in my career when we become fully carbon neutral or become fully sustainable. But the strive and the push for more sustainable solutions is what our industry needs. Whether that's the server infrastructure being more power efficient, more compute with less power profile or in less space, that is what ultimately has happened. And equally on the data center infrastructure side, data centers have become way more energy efficient because it starts to make business sense. And I think, what I need to say is that I think the sustainability managers worldwide just made the correct steps very early on in making the sustainability agenda a top priority within organizations. And they did that because they put it into perspective to the relevant organizations, to their CEOs, to their CFOs, that focus on sustainability ultimately means that you're focusing on efficiency. And the more efficient you get, the more competitive you get, the less you're going to spend on reaching the result that you need. So I think we will get there. I think 2050, yeah, it is quite. It's almost right around the corner, I would say. It's. But I believe that we will make significant leaps over the next 16 years that we have, or 16 and a half years. So I think we will make it. Oh, it's 26 years.
Yeah, that's all right. We better not shorten it by too much, no. And in terms of maybe just as I have you now, and before we finish, it'd be good just to catch up on a couple of other bits of AtNorth news. So I believe you have fairly recently opened a third data center in Iceland. So perhaps you can just give us a quick overview of sort of why you've done it and what the facility is.
Yeah. So we opened up our third facility here. Most of the data centers in Iceland are in the southwestern peninsula of Iceland. And we had requirements from customers that wanted to continue to grow within the Icelandic borders to get a site online that would mean that they would have geographical separation from the southwestern peninsula of Iceland. Hence, we selected Akureyri, which is the largest municipality out of the capital region in Iceland, in the northern part of Iceland, around 280 kilometers in direct, direct distance from the Reykjavik capital area. And we opened that facility up in June, and have already set up our first customers in the facility, starting out at around 10 megawatts and growing that ultimately to around 25 megawatts in the future. So that facility is state of the art, utilizing the latest technology in data centers that ensures that we can leverage the cold climate here in Iceland, as well as being an excellent location for data centers with all the knowledge and easy transit, or how do you say it, transportation.
That's good. And we also see you've made some sort of fairly high profile appointments, and it may be coincidence or it may be part of your sort of ESG strategy, I don't know, but they're all females. So I'm just intrigued to say, was that coincidence, or do you, if not positively discriminate, but at least you're actively wanting to look at the diversity angle of the company? Just what's going on there?
Yeah, so we have been incredibly fortunate with the not only the recent, but all the additions to our team that we have gone through over the past 18 months or so. Then we have been very fortunate to attract great talent. Our ESG emphasis means that we are focused on ensuring diversity within our company. That is one part of what we want to ensure. That can be tricky in an industry like the data center industry that is very male dominated, but it is not unachievable. We've seen that the other technology industries, software development, for an example, has increased their ratio of female versus male software developers quite a lot. We believe that we got really strong candidates. I think that is the main thing. That our recent announcement was all female was just a very great and a happy coincidence that we were able to announce that.
Okay, and then perhaps finally, another announcement you made was, I think you have achieved record revenue levels. So it would seem to the outsider looking in that all is good at AtNorth, and you're doing the right things, and therefore the money is coming in. But just any thoughts as to why that's happening, or what's gone into achieving that?
Yeah, so we have been emphasizing on growth. Our company is a growth company, and we are not only increasing our data center footprint. We've opened up the third site here in Iceland. We have announced that we are building a new data center facility in Helsinki, Finland. We are expanding in our Stockholm facility in Kista in Stockholm. Additionally, we will be looking at new sites for co-location data centers and good locations for large-scale data center infrastructure to be set up in the Nordics. We have been fortunate to be building on top of our past successes with growth, and we continue to grow our company. We have ambitious plans to set up digital infrastructure across the Nordics for customers to access the Nordics, access the favorable power zones here and the climate. And we continue on that journey. Our recent success in terms of revenue is just a fruition of our continuous push towards growth, and actually good customer satisfaction. And I think that helps us a lot. A lot of our customers are growing.
And also, I'm wondering, clearly you need to demonstrate that you know how to build and run data centers, so that's important to customers. But is the sustainability angle that you're able to demonstrate, do you think that's also part of the reason for your growth? You know, you're getting customers coming to you because they like what you're doing when it comes to the sustainability progress that needs to be made.
Yeah, I think sustainability is becoming a part of the mainstream criteria when it comes to RFPs for demands of new data center infrastructure. And I think that helps us and has proven to propel us quite far in a competitive landscape. The demand is certainly there. The demand is growing quite a lot in the Nordics, and in the past few months it has completely exploded. So the demand is there to cater to the business. But I think we have been focusing on sustainability for such a long time, and the foundation of this company is built on the foundation of a sustainable mindset, where the company was founded around bringing sustainable practices to the data center industry. And I think that has helped us. We have a sustainability profile. We are very enthusiastic about helping our customers getting or leveling up their data center operations with sustainable methods that also mean that their TCO will be more efficient. So I think this helps us in customer conversations, in our exposure to the market, to set the expectation to our customers that when they talk to us, then they can expect that we are efficient, we take sustainability seriously, and that we will ultimately help them if they have a net zero goal, that we are a partner that they can work with into the future to make sure that they achieve that. And I think that's important. Okay,
we started with AI and we've gone quite a long way across the subject of data centers, finished with the success of the company. So at least for now, Gisli, I really appreciate the time you've given me and the answers, and thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Well, thank you.